Yes, we're really sure we do want to go live, and hitting the button more than once is the way to make it happen, apparently. Welcome. Joining me today in this Monsters of Rock edition of an office hour with Bart Kay, we have Private Ryan.
Hello.
What's been happening, Private Ryan, around the place?
Farm work.
Yes, good. Farm work. I said I wouldn't put him on the spot. I lied. Questions, straight away, questions. Speaking of questions, if you have any questions, what you do is you write capital Q and then you put a colon and then you write out what your question is using correct grammar and spelling the words out in full. Don't use abbreviations, please. And put a question mark at the end. Patricia is all here. That's good. Who else is here? What other bigots are in the house? Mark's here, of course, Lieutenant General Mark of the Meat Militia. Turn up, all that. Yeah. Then there was some talk about how good the privates Ryan are, or how good Ryan's privates are.
Yeah.
And
we trimmed your privates.
Yes, they did. The privates trimmed my privates. I have 2 private fences, bushes, big ones.
Start
what? No, don't do that. Start? Goodness, we don't want to start. This is the preamble. He's so eager. That's good. Who else is in the house? Nuna's good to see you. Hey, mate, I need to see you. Whenever you're, around and about. We've got the privates Ryan here helping us out, Private Ryan and Private Ryan. But poor old Thomas the tractor, he's got a poorly foot again. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is it won't start now. Could be the battery. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, don't know how to start it. So it's sitting in the bay. So it'd be good to see you. And there's other stuff that we can do while you're here, and I can show you what Ryan's privates have been doing. Privates Ryan, I should say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness me, the Private Ryan is quite tall, isn't he, boys and girls? Right. So are there any questions?
Yeah.
Good. We can start now then.
Okay.
I'm finished pissing about. We just like to build a rapport before we get straight smashing into the questions on this rock edition of questions and answers. Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
I've often thought that...
You can put it up on the screen by clicking on it.
Okay.
There you go. So, read away.
I've often thought appendicitis is highly likely caused by plant material. Is there any science to back this up?
Not really. In terms of direct observational cause and effect, interventional research studies with human beings as subjects in a laboratory lock-in situation, no. There's all sorts of inferences available. All sorts of inferences. People like to publish all sorts of opinions on various things and call it science. A lot of science papers are opinion pieces, a fair proportion. It stuns me even to this day, having been a former contributor to that sort of noise myself before I saw the light and decided to do rock Q&A or something. Oh, by the way, Pim's not here, so we can sing today. There may well be singing. And when I say she's not here, I mean, it's not that she's just not in the room. She's not here. She's gone to the Sunday market, if you please. Goodness gracious. So let's flesh in a bit before I'll deal with the question in a minute, but let's flesh in a bit. You can put it up and they can read it and think about it and stuff. That's all good. Yeah. We should reflect on the week's doings, really, rather than just farm work. Tell us more. What did you do?
Okay, so we did a lot of wood chopping, wood collecting.
Wood chopping and collecting.
Yeah.
Did you do it safely?
Yeah.
Good.
Safely.
And
what else did we do? Stayed up last night.
We did stay up quite late last night watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yes. How many seconds before the live stream did you wake up, Private Ryan?
2 minutes.
Jeez, goodness. And that's 10 a.m. local time, 1000 hours. A good private is up and has all his privates in order much earlier, doesn't he? soldier.
Yeah, usually.
Yes. Not this one, though.
Hmm.
He's usually up later. Of late, anyway. Of late. In recent weeks. Yes.
Mm.
It's the teenage drifting later and later because they're allowed to thing, I think. Sorry, Mum and Dad. You'll sort them out when they get home. Then they're your problem again. The privates, Ryan. How was it this week that you trimmed my privates? My privates?
No, I think it was
Last week. That's why my privates are a bit bushy again, isn't it? Right. Can't Private Ryan do the singing today? I tell you what, we couldn't convince her to even come on the stream, but the other Private Ryan, my word, she has a singing voice. She can sing. Haha, I told on you. Now everybody knows. Now they're all going to say, Private Ryan has to come and sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. She's probably watching.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, next question. But yes, you can do the singing.
Ceramic coated pans non-stick?
Are they non-toxic?
I mean, non-toxic?
Very good.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, necessarily. Depends what the pan's made out of, depends what quality the coating is, whether the coating's chipped, what it's giving off into the mixture, how much heat it's being subjected to, and etc. Oh, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, just because looking at it, if you can get one of these guys that play, guys and gals, this is a titanium guitar pick with its own little wrist strap, so you never drop your pickage and you never have to buy another pick because it's titanium. Titanium. No singing. Right, what's the next question?
Okay.
Okay.
Can't Private Ryan do? Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that. Yes, he can sing.
Does cholesterol have anything to do with a stroke in humans?
Anything to do with it is a very, very broad brush with which to stroke this issue. We're all about stroking issues here, aren't we, Private Ryan? Stroking the privates, the privates, the privet fences. Yes. Yes, it's a very, very broad brush, is anything to do with. Yes, it does have anything to do with it, in that cholesterol is a absolutely indispensable, hugely important part of human metabolism, and everything that goes on has a great deal to do with cholesterol in some way or another, actually, just about. If your question is, does cholesterol, and specifically so-called high cholesterol, does that cause heart disease? Then the answer, as far as I am concerned, is absolutely not, demonstrably not, unequivocally not, on the basis of the histology or the study of actual atherosclerotic lesionings, combined with an understanding of actual physics, as opposed to joke physics, like the first law of thermodynamics proves that calories in, calories out is an indisputable law of the universe, or something. And, you know, converging lines of evidence. Isn't that right, Private?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's right. You can disagree with me, of course, but that is deemed in Pimara to be hate speech.
No disagreement.
Yes, no disagreeing with me. It's hate speech.
Except maybe with this question.
Right.
And not ceramic coated pans non-toxic.
Yeah. Go on. Do you have an opinion?
No.
Okay.
Oh. No evidence. Like just.
Yeah, exactly that. Dead right.
Exactly.
Yes. There's no actual evidence. There's only inferences, good or not so good.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
I've seen studies on EMF causing cell damage and oxidative stress, and also lowering testosterone in mice. Also, there are private studies by AirStem showing damage in mice by Wi-Fi routers that should we avoid?
Okay. I think that.
How do you avoid?
Well, yeah, exactly. Good question. Really good point from Private Ryan, that is. How do you avoid EMF in this world today, other than all sorts of over-the-top crazy stuff that you can do. And I say crazy stuff only because it's not a good idea, but because I'm talking cost-wise crazy stuff. Like, oh, I'm going to sleep in a room that's got a Faraday cage or something around it. Or I'm going to have EMF blocking tape up on all the walls or whatever. I'm going to have a tinfoil hat. Those kind of things. Yeah, but that said, making an assumption about how a human would react to a stimulus from a study on how a mouse reacts, there are one or two leaps of faith there. Probably one or two too many. However, the next time I'm having an in-depth discussion with a mouse about his health or her health or their health or shimshay them they quays health or whatever, I will be sure to mention it to that mouse that they should probably avoid EMF just on the basis of this inference maybe. Probably do that by staying the hell out of my house. Mises, I hate Mises to pieces.
Sounds good.
Good.
Okay.
I think we should get paid double for that answer. It was a good one.
Question.
Yes.
In India versus New Zealand, who is going to hold the ICC trophy?
Do you know what? I haven't had time to watch a single game of this tournament. I was actually out playing cricket yesterday. We did 2 2020 games in a row. Won them both. Hurrah! It was all down to the captaincy, I think. Not that I contributed a great deal of anything. I took a catch. I batted down the order in the second game. But I was onto it with the captaincy by letting the team captain itself, largely. I'm one of those hands-off managers in some respects. Private Ryan. Wink, wink. That's the kind of double entendre I couldn't get away with doing with your sister on the camera, because for some reason boys are different than girls, I'm told. And she's a little bit younger, fair enough. Not much younger though, is she?
No.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Errors has a study it funded showing a controlled experiment where mice and their product and in a cage and Wi-Fi router next to them way less cell damage than the group without it. Good science?
I don't know. I'd have to read it to see how robust the controls that were exerted were. And, if it is a good inference, then you can say you've got a good inference on an association, I guess. Because again, how are you going to define cell damage? How are you going to get a gauge on that? How are you truly going to compare apples with apples and not pears with fruit salad? Whatever. Rick's in the house. Good to see you, Rick. Good to see you. How are them Muscovies? Ours are good. As far as I last heard, which was yesterday.
Scott's here.
Hello, Scott.
Shouldn't you be with the other chickens?
Yes, indeed. Now I get the joke. Good, I'm a bit slow myself this morning. Must be staying up too late. We have 7 chickens in this one particular brood of chickens that are now adult and just about getting to the stage, where things could happen. They're all called Brian. It's like, I'm Brian. No, I'm Brian. No, I'm Brian. And so's my wife. And there's one of those that hangs out by himself or herself a lot of the time. Scott. That's got no mates. It's hilarious every time we say it, isn't it? Yeah. Every time we chuckle. What am I feeding you?
Cake.
You're here to help, are you?
No.
He's feeding us cake.
I think I fed myself that.
You did?
Yeah.
You and your sister made a cake the other night, didn't you? That was very carnivore of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
But what have you been eating mostly?
Just meat.
It's meat and fat and meat. That's what you've been having for mostly. Delicious. No singing. Good.
Okay.
All right.
When do you usually sleep? And what is your current diet?
I normally, when we don't have guests in the house who are teenagers who tend to do teenage hours, and I kind of hang out with them because it's quite cool. And we can talk about rock, music, and stuff. And they grill me about aspects of science, and we watch YouTube videos and stuff. What was the question? When do I sleep? Oh, normally I go to sleep about 9:30. I know. Getting hardcore rock and roll. And my current diet is, I think, tending closer to 90 than 95 these days, or at the moment. 90% carnivore. The other 10% is beers after cricket, once a week in the summer. Just about finished for the year now.
And Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, believe it or not. An actual can of Coke or two, depending on, the size of the can, etc. Again, that's left over from the cricket because somebody's got to take one for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee.
Whatever herbs are on the meat.
Yes, good. Yes, there are herbs and spices and things that Pim likes to use. Yep. Yeah, pretty much carnivore, mostly.
Mm.
Oh, and we've been eating a bit of fruit lately too. Don't tell Paul Salad Boy, he'll think I've come across to the dark side. I haven't. But our fruit is ripening, it's ready for harvest and use to generate income or to feed our animals mostly. But we've been having 1 or 2 plums off the tree, a couple of nectarines. They were nice. Not nectarines, peaches, fuck's sake, boy. Peaches, millions of peaches. Peaches for free. No singing.
Next.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Mm.
Question.
Yes.
Do you like the Cerule hydroactive product?
Mm.
I am doing a lot of sauna and wanting to make sure I'm properly hydrated. And I'm also using the 3 main Cerule products.
Awesome on the 3 main products. In terms of the hydroactive, do I like it? As in, do I think it tastes nice and is it pleasant to consume? It's not bad. Not bad at all. It's not a product that I actively promote, and there are reasons for that, but there are also, there's light at the end of the tunnel that we may have a formulation available at some point in future that might be within the realms of the carnivore friendly, I guess, shall we say. You do need to be very careful with it. There is an individual upper limit for daily intake. I would suggest for most average size adults, you would certainly not exceed 2 a day. Otherwise, you will loosen up in a big way. It'll be untidy. You don't want that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's, it is what it says it is. It's a product containing magnesium in a bioavailable form and some other things.
Okay.
Cool.
Question.
Yes.
I've seen MRI studies showing that low to standard doses of lithium can increase grey matter density and cognitive function by stimulating neural stem cells. Do you think Stem Enhance can do this also?
Well, if it can, it's not by that mechanism.
I thought lithium makes you go crazy.
It's also used to calm anxiety and pacify in certain doses. I think, like anything, it's the dose that makes the poison, and if you have too much lithium, you may well lose your shit, as it were. Yes. Yes. So anyway, the question, the part about Cerule, yes, I think the Cerule product does have the definite potential to be able to impact one's grey matter density and cognitive function by virtue of providing the stem cell resources which are involved in the renewal and repair of tissues, plus the maintenance of existing tissues. So if it's by any mechanism, it's that one, that it could work.
Okay.
Bing. Nasta. And what's next?
Please, can we have your thoughts on GLP-1 inhibitors, possible issue long term?
That is the issue, yes. Possible long-term, a lack of remotely sufficient long-term safety data They're a relatively newish class of pharmaceutical intervention, and there are some voices out there campaigning on these things are not a good idea. My question would be this: if you need a GLP-1 inhibitor, if you need one, how long should you need one for before that GLP-1 inhibitor solves your health issue? Because that's what doctors are supposed to do, isn't it? Fix things.
Mm-hmm.
So how long is the GLP inhibitor required for?
Same long as statin is required for.
Oh, is it forever again? Yeah. Oh. Ah. So a drug that's so effective that you have to take it forever.
Yes.
Unlike Cerule, which is something that you should take forever. You really should, in that case. Yes. Yes, I have my own biases, apparently.
What are your favorite types of movies?
Yep.
Action, adventure, horror, sci-fi,
I
etc.
love sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi junkie, me, in terms of movies. I also like classics, like The Princess Bride, which I still have yet to show the privates Ryan. They've got no idea what I'm talking about. They're a completely other generation. Both born after 2000. And I'm like, fucking what? What? I'm old, is what I'm saying. Old. Yeah, so I love sci-fi.
Take Cerule and you won't be.
Well, that's it. But we're not allowed to make such claims, really. But I didn't, and neither did he. We didn't make any claims. We never make claims.
Okay.
Yep. But if you know anything about telomeres, he's right. Just quietly. Yes.
Question.
Go. Yes.
For fat loss, would a 60-hour fast once a week be possible to do and not slow down one's metabolism?
It very much depends on a number of other contributory, confounding, collinear factors. Really, your metabolic rate is a balance of all those inputs. Like, well, what are your food intakes? What is your movement level and intensity and mode and all of that?
Yeah.
Look, I think with anything, intermittent fasting, which is what that is, I think it's a useful tool to be used for a certain tenure. I don't think it's something you want to be doing long term. So if you do it a few times, probably not even on consecutive weeks, give yourself a week or two washout in between, should be okay. Keep your exercise level up, your activity level up. Be careful what you eat, because that's important too, in terms of your metabolic rate. Good. Good.
Okay. Question. In layman's term, what does it mean to have when someone has or is experiencing oxidative stress?
Yes, right. Okay, that's an umbrella term. It's a label for any number of different signals that can be measured using various bits of scientific equipment as regards the human condition. And it can be measured in terms of certain hormone levels or hormone-like second messengers in some cases. It can be measured in terms of actual apparent oxidative damage to various tissues, which have various different tests specialized for those tissues. It's a term that is invoked to talk about we're measuring some aspect of metabolism that infers something about the redox potential of this person at that time. I hope that's waffly enough. Was that waffly enough?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Does methylene blue actually help with memory loss?
Well, there are two schools of thought on that, and there's two schools of thought on that, and there's two thoughts of school on it. Yeah, I actually tripped over and hit my head on the record player recently, but I'm all right now. Okay. I don't know. I've never seen any clear evidence of it. The thing is, we have evolved a series of pigments in our mitochondria that act as the electron transport chain that dish electrons to various energy levels, in turn, cascade-wise, precisely tuned to be conduced to the best ends of the organism. By taking methylene blue, you are inserting another pigment momentarily, for a period, into the mitochondria, thus altering the workings of 3,800 million years of evolution in terms of it being the ideal energy jumps. So is it good to do that, or is it not? I suggest people watch Dr. Sarah Pugh, The Busy Superhuman. She's great on methylene blue, I think. She also has an opinion, but hers is not like the usual one, I think, given that she's pretty well schooled in that field. Love you, Sarah. Sarah Pugh, good friend of the channel. Sarah with no H, that is. It's Sarah. Some people would pronounce it, but it's not. It's Sarah. Because I said so and I make the rules. Shout out to Sarah Pugh. All right, what's next?
Question.
Yes.
See what happens when you stop shaving your head. It grows back, growing a beard now.
Oh, look, this is a week's worth of lush growth from my scalp, having taken all my cereal products and stopped shaving. I'm actually a rock god through and through. I can't help myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, what's next?
Question. Wouldn't studies in mice, which are biological creatures like humans, probably be translatable in regards to something like EMF? If EMF damages mice, doesn't that show damage to biological creatures?
Okay, well, cockroaches are biological creatures, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
See what happens when you detonate a thermonuclear device within a certain area and see what's left behind in terms of living things after that. Because it'll be fucking cockroaches. Nothing else. Okay? So different animals have different levels, abilities to cope with different challenging situational inputs. I hope that makes sense.
Ooh. Okay.
Steak and eggs and eggs.
Opinion on Berberine supplement.
Berberine. I get asked about Berberine quite often. Again, it's one of those things that I'm not convinced about. One of the primary possible benefits is touted to be an antioxidant effect. I don't believe you need antioxidants from food, because you get antioxidant activity by grounding to the earth. And any in-house antioxidant that needs doing can be taken care of by a suite of antioxidants that your body makes itself. It manufactures them according to your genetic instructions for so doing. Yes. Good.
Question.
Yep.
Would your fellows say that honey is superior to sugar?
Would we? So. No, I don't think so either. Honey is a mixture of sucrose and fructose, depending on where those bees have been, etc., etc. So it's a variable mix. You never quite know what you're getting necessarily, unless you're buying commercially, in which case they have to have the percentages of that listed in some countries anyway. Plus or minus an error that they're allowed to make, an error that they're allowed to make, of course. Table sugar is a mixture of sucrose and fructose. Glucose and fructose.
Yeah.
Yes. God, what are you saying, boy? Very good. Thank you. Well done, Private. Well done.
Is that all?
Well, we all know fructose is bad. Okay, and if we don't, we need to binge watch my channel.
Yeah.
Fructose is bad. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Unless you're poor salad boy.
In which case it's still bad, but you think it isn't.
No.
Purely because that gets you paid a lot of money by people who want to hear good news about their bad habits from a so-called reputable doctor. Such a reputable doctor that he's never practiced medicine not a day in his life. That kind.
Okay.
Jonathan's here. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you, John.
Melted cheese.
Yes.
What TV show series have you seen, and which one was your favorite?
Many. How many TV series have you ever seen?
Not many.
Right. I've seen many.
Okay.
Lately, we've been watching Yellowstone a bit, here and there.
Okay.
Ooh.
Question.
Yep.
How much carbohydrates are in a full fat milk, cream, and cheese?
Yep.
I've left them out, and my A1C has gone down to 4.8 from 6.1.
Nice.
Continuous monitor.
Okay.
It's a surprise to me it caused such a difference.
The answer to that is on the label for those particular dairy products from the purveyor from where you got them. It'll be on the label as to the exact amount. Yes, I often say to people that have intractable elevated blood glucose and or stubborn extra adipose tissue fat, that if they are consuming dairy and eggs, actually, they're the first things that should go in that situation, because they can absolutely cause an inflammatory response, which will prevent the usage of fat as a fuel and encourage the storage of it, and at the same time push the A1C up over time. Yes.
Okay. What is the difference between soluble and insoluble fiber? Which one, if any, is possible less irritating for the gut?
Soluble fiber is fiber that easily breaks down in the intestinal tract. Insoluble fiber is fiber that does not do that and passes through pretty well unchanged by the transit through the enteric system, the gut. Which one is less irritating? Assuming no allergic reactions, the less irritating of those two is going to be the soluble fiber, probably, isn't it? Because
I'm not sure.
Well, it would seem that
neither am I good for you.
Exactly, fiber is contraindicated. Okay, as is cake. Cake is contraindicated, boys and girls.
Okay. Does watermelon grow in New Zealand?
Yes. Are you my nephew? No, he's not my nephew.
Immigrate to Australia or New Zealand?
Personally, I would choose New Zealand, but I'm a bit biased in that respect. What would you choose out of the two? You're an Australian, so you also are a bit biased, probably.
I think I need more details.
Exactly. Well, yes, it's a consultancy issue.
Yeah, consultancy issue.
Yes, that's what it is. You can get consultancies at bit.ly/Bart-Kay. Rock on.
Question. Is there any need for oyster and liver on carnivore diet?
No. And there's really only two things that look like oysters, and one of them's oysters, isn't it? Yes. No, you don't need any of those. There is no need for those. Right. Done.
Do you take any other supplement besides cereal supplements?
Personally, at the moment, I don't. No, and haven't done for some time. Just cereal. And beer, if beer is a supplement. Is beer a supplement?
I don't think so.
Private. I might have to have you trim my privates again. My privates. My privates fences. Privates.
Okay. Why people with family hyperlipidemia usually have more cardiovascular incidents, or not true? Well,
show me some evidence that it is true. Even in the epidemiological studies, show me some evidence that shows any kind of effect size that isn't completely swamped by noise. What did you do? Exit full screen. Oh, that was impressive. Yeah. We went to full screen. It was trippy. Yes. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves while we have our Bill and Ben moment, or our Tweedledee and Tweedledum moments.
I think that's the last question.
Well, that's poor. Ask more questions, you lot. We've
Yeah.
still got some time left.
Why do I stink less when I'm on a carnivore diet?
Possibly because your microbiome is happier. Thus, your whole system is happier. Thus, it's more able to exist in a way that doesn't produce the funkiness certain species and numbers of different microbiota living on your skin, which is also connected to those on your gut. I think probably. I have heard that.
Blink twice. No, I'm not hostage.
Call the police. Call the police. Yeah, I have heard tell that carnivores, just like anybody else, do stink if they don't wash, but then after a while it goes away. Apparently, or is that just everybody around them that goes away? I don't know. I did have a carnivore on the channel not long ago who claims not to have showered for 4 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Question. How many times a week should I ground myself to reduce inflammation? I can't every day, lol.
Well, I think the minimum a person should do is to ground themselves while you sleep, because you have to sleep pretty well every day. Most people do anyway. Not the privates Ryan, though, and me. We like to sit 3 abreast on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. We did musical appreciation. And we watched my playlist on YouTube Music. And it just kept playing things I've never heard in my life, but they're on my playlist. It was pretty good. I think it was AI generated list, but it wasn't bad in terms of its ability to guess what should be on my list. Anyway, that's for another day. Harry Sopanos is in the house, the King of Tasmania.
Hi guys, love your hair. Love the hairy Bart.
Thanks. That's what they all say, Harry. They all love it when they get a dose of the hairy Bart. Yes, they do. Yeah. Good to see you, mate. Are you live streaming today? If so, when, so, what, so, why, so? To give us all the details and we'll put it up on the screen or something. Yeah. Good.
Question.
Yes.
Does crystal and silver skin of meat have any benefit?
Yes. Contains nutrients like collagen. Nutrients. Sorry, I'm not flipping you the bird. I was just scratching my nose and still hanging onto my pick. All right, what's next?
Okay. Question.
Yes.
Do you ever test your blood glucose levels? If you do, what number do you prefer?
I do not, ever, no. Because there's no reason for me to suspect my blood glucose levels are deranged. Except when I've been drinking too much alcohol. Which does happen from time to time. But with being a human and a hedonist.
In regards to grounding, I live in an apartment. I just plug myself into the earth plug in the electrical socket.
I did that for about a year. So yes, you can. The way I did it was I took an electrical flex with a normal 3-pin plug and I removed the phase and neutral wires, the electrical carrying wires, stripped those wires completely out of the whole length of the flex so they're gone. It's not just blind pins, there's nothing there. So you basically got an earth wire, blinded the other end of that so that you can twist it up and tie a knot in it so that it doesn't fray. Then you can tie that around your ankle and put a sock over that and plug it into the wall and go to sleep. And then that's fine until you want to roll over or move or do anything, or if you don't want something cutting into you. So I got a grounding bed sheet for a couple of $100 off the interwebs. Everyone can do that, I think. The issue, if there is an issue with doing that, is a thing called dirty electricity, which is where the phase and live electrical wires that lead to the socket can be in a proximity close enough to the earth pin to actually induce small voltages in it across the space between them. I don't know if it's really a problem or not. Purely on precaution, here in this house we have a metal stake in the ground outside the window, and that's what our cable is connected to, that connects to our grounded bed sheet. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think cereal products could improve a man's private performance.
I know it. Well, that's not a cause and effect statement. That is my experience, is what I should say. Yes. Not that mine needed any improvement. God. I'm insatiable.
What do they mean by the terms
Metapoietic.
yeah,
Yep.
and mesenchymal?
Close. Good effort. Mesenchymal stem cells. Right. Hemopoietic stem cells, generally, as the name infers, hema, are the ones that almost invariably will differentiate into red cells, white cells, platelets, and some of the immune components. They are the blood-forming cells, specifically. Mesenchymal stem cells is a broader term for stem cells, I guess, existing very soon after conception in a certain zone of the tissues of the body, and hemopoietic stem cells are a subclass of mesenchymal, which come in other forms as well. There are also pluripotent stem cells, for example, which can become anything except sperm or eggs, but they can become the tissues that make the sperm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, right.
Is that a Steve Vai guitar?
It is. It's a Gem 555 series, which was the cheaper one to the 777, which was kind of a more, starter guitar. I've had this one since Adam was in short pants. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one with the monkey grip. Yeah.
Question.
Yep.
Do people report back to you with digestive issues months, years after switching to carnivore, specifically due to overnight transition?
I find that it can happen up to 6 months later, randomly on a time delay fuse or something that nobody really understands. But I get quite a few clients that come to me and say, I've been fine. I did a carnivore. I started, hammered over one night, started the next morning. I was absolutely fine. And now 6 months later, it's all turned to shit, literally. And I'm like, okay, yep, I've heard that before a few times. And then we go through the process of getting it all back in the tickety-boo aisle, get it sorted. That's what we do here. We help in Bartia, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Harry is going to be streaming next week. He's busy with his dad. Good old dad. Yeah.
When people use their... Oh, should I answer that first?
Yes.
Can carnivore improve low blood platelets?
It does have that potential, that capacity, yes.
When people use the FHBS,
Yep.
remind them that the Framingham study showed that 93% of those with the highest cholesterol were still alive after 30 years, while 73% only with the lowest levels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of many associative data sets that do infer that within a certain range, more cholesterol seems to be associated with less fatality, mortality than more. Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Harry Louse, King of Tasmania.
Thank you.
Your lordship, whatever.
Does cooking change nutrients or meat or not?
I think you mean in meat.
Yeah, meat.
Yes, cooking does reduce some nutrients in meat to some degree or more, depending how long it's exposed to how much heat. Mostly, what I have found in experience over a number of years was that having all your meat well done does not seem to cause any problems. Joking, just a bit. Yeah, for about 8 years or so, I was having everything well done. I couldn't get my head around the idea of raw meat or even rare or even medium rare. It was well done or nothing. And I didn't fall over dead from deficiencies.
Does exercise increase artery diameter or by nitric oxide production?
Well, this is a feedback controlled mechanism whereby there are mechanisms that lead to vasodilation, the relaxation of the muscle ring around the vasculature, thus effectively increasing the lumen size. The diameter is what you're talking about there. Yes, exercise is a vasodilator. However, if you suddenly vasodilate a large portion of your tissues because you've just started doing a suddenly very intense exercise bout, for example, that can cause a lot of blood to rush into that area which is suddenly vasodilated, as is the design. However, that can drop your blood pressure, your central blood pressure, precipitously and cause a problem. So as such, another message goes out from the brain in that situation saying, whoops, we're not getting perfusion of blood to the brain so much. And that causes a constrictive influence. So it's a feedback loop that controls the effective level of these things at the time, based on all the inputs, not just one. That's why reductionism in science is a bad thing, because it only ever gets to one relationship. Because as soon as you get into anything else, you're actually making compromises on the scientific method, thus weakening your inference. Or it should, but, you know, somehow it doesn't necessarily. Good. Like it.
Mm-hmm.
Great answer. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback there, Private.
So just to make sure, I should check the earth plug for any voltage leaks
Yep.
with a voltmeter.
Yes.
I would love to have a stake in the ground. I live on the 5th floor, New Puno.
Yeah. Okay. So you're kind of limited. The other option is if you've got like metal radiators in your place, depending where you live, metal radiators that aren't painted, or an area on a metal radiator that isn't painted, you can connect to that. That's effectively an earth as well.
Does cooking change nutrients of meat or not?
Well, what I find is that there are many things that damage my short-term memory, and I can't remember answering that question a few minutes ago.
What could...
It's all good. Pim does that every week.
What could cause an ammonia body odor on carnivore?
Right, several things. Okay. Number one, you may be eating more protein than is required for you, in which case what is going to happen is a lot of the protein is going to be deaminated, and the amino groups are what are giving off the ammonia aroma when it comes out through the pores of your skin, etc. There are other possibilities as well that can't be eliminated, and if you are concerned at all because there's any symptomology other than just the ammonia thing, which should get less over time as you adapt to carnivore, if it doesn't, then I would go and get your kidneys and liver tested for kidney and liver function respectively, just to eliminate the possibility that you might have a dysfunction. Yep. Cool. You're welcome. QQQ. 3 questions. Charge them triple, please, on the invoice. Your invoice is in the mail.
Could you do a video showing how you ground yourself for sleep, showing what you need to do so?
Maybe, if I can ever be asked doing such a thing. Yep. Okay. Cool. Good suggestion. Yep. It's not too hard to do something like that. Maybe I could task one of the privates to make a privates video. Make a privates video about grounding.
Okay.
There you go.
Question.
Yes.
Do you agree with Dr. Jaquish that the variable resistance of resistance band makes higher rep counts appropriate?
I am not 100% on whether or not the variable resistance higher reps is better than traditional hypertrophy training techniques or not. I think that the X3 kit that John Jackish has invented and markets as a perfectly good bit of kit. I've got one myself. Cha-ching! There you go, John. It's good. It does what it says it does. It puts a rubber band on a bar that you can use exercises with, and because it's a rubber band, it's variable resistance throughout the rep range. The resistance getting more, obviously, as you stretch the band, and less as you let it back down again, which challenges the muscle in a completely different way and may or may not cause your hypertrophy gains to be more better. I don't know for sure. I haven't seen any studies. John's probably got some. Ask John. He's a good bloke. He's a friend of mine.
Question. How many hours should I wait after getting sunlight to allow the vitamin D to be absorbed through my skin?
Well, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. Wait for what? Do you mean wait before having a shower?
I think so.
Okay. I would suggest that you would probably want to avoid showering for a goodly number of hours after the sun exposure to prevent washing off the beginnings of the vitamin D cascadey stuff off your skin before it can be absorbed into your system and the full transmutation to vitamin D can be completed. That sounds like one of those Star Wars speeches, doesn't it? Something dark side, something complete. Join me, Private Ryan. I will complete your training. And together we will rule the universe.
Harry says, you're welcome.
Very good.
Oh.
I look amazing with funny hair.
Yeah. Do you know of any health defects a kid could have if the mother was on lithium therapy, mental illness medication?
I don't personally. That's not my area of expertise at all.
Okay. Super chat.
Yes.
Every time I eat, I have been feeling like I need a nap. Why? I want energy to do more. Keep rocking, Bart. Yes, singing.
All right. Look, that sounds like a consultancy issue. We need to talk about what you're doing, what's going on, all the inputs and all the outputs, because your perceived energy levels, need for sleep, napping, that kind of stuff will be tied to many, many aspects of the inputs and outputs of all of that. So it's not an evasion of the question. It's like, oh, there's no way I can answer that question quickly on a live stream like this. You should book to consult with me. We can talk it through if that's of importance. You can do that at bit.ly/BART-KAY. That's where you do consultancies. Well, that's where you set them up anyway.
Any suggestions for meals other than ground beef? Too poor to afford ribeyes frequently.
Not really. No, ground beef is fine. You may or may not have to add fat to get enough fat in, depending, because a lot of the ground beef that you buy is, very low in fat because they think that's good. But it isn't, of course.
Do you mean I can get grounded by touching my wired mouse and keyboard? I am confused.
Probably not. I've got a grounding mouse pad that's not currently on my desk that I do sometimes have on my desk that I can actually be grounded separately to the computer system. Yeah, it's unlikely you're going to get an effective grounding from a wired mouse or keyboard because they're insulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harry says,
yes,
there is a tribe in Africa that overcooks their meat close to charring due to having many parasites in their regions, and it doesn't seem to affect them.
Yeah. There's also a tribe in Africa called the Fakawi. Have you heard of the Fakawi?
I don't think so.
Well, they live in this area where there's 3 foot tall grass, and they're all like 2.5 feet tall, and they're always going around saying, "Where the fuck are we? Where the fuck are we?" See? Juliet, we love us some Juliet up in here. We do. Juliet's autistic experience. Thank you for the generous super chatting action.
Okay.
Or whatever it is. Yes, super chatting action. Good. Go on.
Good to see a happy little live stream from you at the end of an awful week.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear your week wasn't great. I think we've had quite a good week here.
Yeah, not bad.
We haven't murdered any privates.
No.
Yet.
I'm
kidding. Dad. Right.
Question.
Yeah.
Do many people experience improving their looks on carnivore diet, like better skin, hair, less face, less what?
Fat in the face.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Ask Dr. Abs.
Yep. Dr. Abs is good too. He's also a friend of the channel and a friend of us here.
Question. Is it possible to clear bile duct obstructions with diet?
Yes. It's possible to do anything with diet. There are no guarantees, but yes, it is possible.
Does N-acetylcysteine alleviate sinus symptoms, throat mucus?
It can do, among other things. It's kind of like a wonder tonic for those that find that it's useful. It's one of those things that there are mixed results on. Your mileage will vary on that.
I recently got hit by an acute localized appendicitis. Not a complicated one.
Yeah.
I chose antibiotics instead of surgery. What is your understanding about this subject?
Yes. Okay. So appendicitis occurs randomly in individuals on the basis that there is a sepsis in the veriform appendix, which is a vestigial version of the cecum in other animals that are still herbivorous largely in nature, and it can be treated effectively with antibiotics. Whether that's a good idea or not is for another day. If it works for you, great. It's possibly better than putting your body through a surgery, although, you know, the appendicitis, the appendectomy, I should say, is a pretty routine procedure that they do billions and billions of, and it's unlikely you'd have an issue ongoingly with having had that surgery. But there are also those that would argue, well, your appendix, while it doesn't function as a cecum anymore, it still does play autoimmune functions to some degree. So taking it out, it's, yeah.
Okay.
Don't know for sure.
What can be done to prevent a terrible sulfur taste in the mouth for hours after taking B vitamins and or NAC?
Don't do that. Don't take those things.
Question.
Yeah.
Is it safe to take vitamin D 5,000 UIs once a week on a long-term basis, or could there be potential toxicity concerns?
It depends very much on how that is presented in the product that you're taking supplemental D vitamins in. If it's in a seed oil base, then it's very likely, in fact, to be rancid, oxidized. Fuck me, Drew Morg is in the house. Drew Morg, mate. Mate. It's been forever. Where the fuck have you been? I sent flowers. I thought you were dead. Oh, Drew Morg lives, everybody. Fucking hell. Hello, Drew.
Binging your videos lately, mate.
Awesome, mate.
Why do HCLF people claim their measured blood sugar returns back to normal no matter how much sugar they eat? Also, why does fat plus sugar seem to not spike as much?
Okay, well, the second one, the fat and sugar not spiking as much is because of the activities of the Randall cycle, largely, I think. The fat slows down the absorption and, I guess, delivery of the carbs directly, also in the stomach compartment as well. In terms of the first bit, well, high carb, low fat people claim all sorts of crazy shit, don't they, Drew? Don't they?
Okay.
And maybe those people have, you know, some of them are highly, highly active, and as such, they're not going to get the blood spiking issues, because exercise is one of those things that absolutely does increase the number and activity rate of the GLUT4 transporter on the cell membranes and such. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first here. Drew Morglives. Drew, come on the show, mate. Let's do a thing. We haven't done a thing forever. Perhaps we could invite Harley Johnson on and chat about veganism or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's a friend of yours, isn't he? I'm kidding. I know he's not. Dickwad. Harley, not you, Drew. You're not a dickwad. He is. Anyway, what's next? Private Ryan?
An ammonia body odor can also be due to a genetic issue, and a higher intake of riboflavin can correct it.
All right. There you go. Thanks, Harry.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm.
H. pylori hit me hard. Should I go for the protocol of antibiotics? Heard it wrecks my stomach acid. Any suggestions?
That's a consultancy issue, really, because we need to get your individual history and all of that together and talk about it for a bit before I could formulate a relatively sensible response for you. I think it would be inappropriate for me to make a generalized statement about H. pylori, because your mileage will vary.
Okay.
Is that your sister tromping around up there like an elephant? She's not like an elephant at all. She's waif-like and elfin and slender.
That usually happens when you eat meat. Also, beef fat is cheap. Lots of meat departments would sell it. Yes. Yep. Used to get fat every week and render it.
Yep.
It would be cool if Dr. Gary Fetke were to come over your channel.
Yes.
He had an interview recently with Jesse Campus, and he's on board with the carnivore diet.
Awesome. Good to hear. Yep. So that's not a strange evolution for Gary. Gary's been about no carb for a long time. So if he's come across to the dark side, join me, Gary. I'll complete your training, and together we will rule the universe. Something dark side. No? Okay.
Can milk after a carnivore meal help digestion?
In what way? What mechanism would you think would be at play there? I don't think so, personally. It's just a component of your intakes. Right, what's next?
Can schizophrenia be cured by using carnivory?
Cured is a very strong and very generalized statement. Is it possible to ameliorate symptomology through the influence of changing your diet? Yes. Can you cure a mental illness such as schizophrenia? That would be several bridges too far, I think.
Do you know why many marine collagen peptides type 1 and 3 supplements tend to add vitamin C?
Yes, I do. It's because you need vitamin C to actuate the chemical linkage of type 1 and type 3 collagens together in the formation of whole collagen. However, I don't think that that's necessary, because, well, certainly not for a carnivore audience, because our need for vitamin C for everything is much, much lower, and as such, the additional vitamin C, depending on the dose per serving in that particular manufacturer's product, may or may not be problematic in terms of oxalate.
I have severe fungal infection covering my body. I've not tried to do naked sun glazing tanning to alleviate. Any other ideas?
Yes, that's a consultancy issue, absolutely, definitely. And I would guarantee you there is a gut dysbiosis going on for you. And that's where I would start. Personally, I would also try and tee you up to talk to Dr. Abs, who is a dermatologist as well. Because Abs is a friend of the channel and a good bloke. Old blue eyes. Hey? Hey? You've noticed, haven't you, ladies? Yeah, you have. Right, what's next?
If I come to Pimbadia, where can I sleep?
Well, it depends. You have many options. We have 3 potential guest suites, 2 of which are private rooms, 1 of which would be a shared space with Pim's office. The other option is, if you're sexy as fuck, you can sleep with me if you want to. I'm easy, it's not just a vicious rumour. Pim might have something to say about that. Not because she would be offended by that in any way, except that there's less room for her in bed. If she even notices that we're there. I'm kidding, a little bit. Love you, Pim, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can sleep outside. You can sleep in the swimming pool. You can go down the back paddocks. You can go and sleep down there if you want. You can sleep with the goats.
I did that a couple times.
But to sleep with me, you've got to be sexy as fuck. Let's be fair on that. I'm very picky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Pimbadia allow one to use electronic devices after work?
No, we don't allow anything at all here. We have them locked down under lock and key. We beat them daily, don't we?
Yeah.
There are daily beatings, Private. We don't feed them, except for cake, which they made themselves. Wasn't my fault. Bloody good cake too, by the way. You did well. Not the sort of thing we do often around here, but what the hell? We have guests, and they made cake. It'd be rude not to eat it. So we did. Some of it. What else don't we allow in Pimbatia? Free thought, free expression. That's not allowed, because there's no disagreeing with me. That's hate speech.
Yep.
Drew, if you haven't been around much, you probably don't know what Pimbatia is. It's the independent sovereign nation we have formed by seceding from the former communist dictatorship of New Zealand. And we've bought a farm, and we're doing farming, regenerative farming, organic regenerative farming is what we're doing here. And Private Ryan is here to help with that, as is Private Ryan, but she won't help with live streams because she's all shy and stuff. Soft, isn't it, really? No, he won't be baited. Good lad. Good lad. I'm impressed. Never slag your sister off in public.
Okay. How dangerous is eating the behind of an animal in nose-to-tail fashion? Similar to licking the behind of a human, or worse, for instance?
Is it cooked and cleaned beforehand? And why on earth would you want to eat an animal's asshole? Would you?
Yeah.
You would? Goodness, Private Ryan, we should have a chat after the live stream about some of these proclivities of yours.
And if it's cooked?
Well, yes, if it's cooked, it's just meat, I suppose, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Who would you rather live with and copy their style of living?
Ferrier.
Siri, yeah, and Frankie.
Christ on a bicycle. I don't think I'd want to live anywhere near either of those two crackpots. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Drew, if you didn't see it, Richard Burgess fronted up for a debate with me recently. It's on my channel. Oh my God, you will shit yourself with how stupid the boy made himself look. Anyway, that's for another day. Couldn't believe it. He actually fronted. All I had to do was bait him by calling him Tubby. Should have done that years ago. I don't think I'd live anywhere near Frankie or Spherier. Although, to be fair, no, I should actually make a comment on that. I would probably choose Frankie of those two. Because Frankie is known to be... Well, I was going to say Frankie is known to be a bit less stabby, but that's not actually strictly true if you watch his... well, let's face it, they exist. His porn movies that he's in, Frankie. So maybe he's not less stabby. Gay porn, that is. He's in. Yes. If you didn't know that, Wanky Tough Anus, gay porn actor, among other things.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
Are there any plans for new videos about people that are wrong on the internet? Hobbits?
And hobbits.
Yep.
Oh, I think you mean that crazy rock throwing hobbit. Yeah. Yes. I'm just not making a lot of videos right now because I'm busy supervising the Ryan's privates. Privates Ryan, I mean, and their trimming of my privates, I should say, my fences, my hedges. Big and bushy they are. Did I mention that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have huge privates, don't I?
But we just cut him back.
Oh, good. Yes, absolutely. There'll be more videos about people being wrong on the interwebs. Yes. I always like to pretend I'm finished with a question and then I make several more comments and then you're like, I can bring it, but you don't have to bring it back up. Once you've moved on, it's all good. It's funny, really, watching you panic. Ah! Relax, private. We're all friends here, aren't we?
Oh, I thought that was a cue. We got it anyways.
This is all.
To add to the lithium topic,
Yeah.
I think there was just one study I found that showed that lithium may also litigate bone marrow-derived stem cells.
Really? Okay.
But I feel like more research is required.
Yeah, well, you're probably right, because it always is. That sounds interesting. Lithium as a ligand for L-selectin specifically? That could be interesting. Then you could be releasing the pluripotent mesenchymal stem cells known as CD34+. The kind that the fine product from the fine folks at Cerule helps your body release your own adult stem cells. Blank cells containing all the instructions for life that circulate in your blood until they find a tissue that's worn, tired, dysfunctional, or diseased in some way, and they replace it with a brand new one. Isn't that fantastic? You can get it at the link, which is at the bottom left hand of my screen, as soon as you hit that remove that comment button and hide that one for a minute, and then you can bring it back. There it is. There's the link, bkaynutrition.cerule.com. That's where you get it from. Basically, that's where you get Cerule. Right, what's next?
Question, if you ever get called by Dr. Mike, the Russian physician, for an interview, would you do it?
I don't know who Dr. Mike, the Russian physician, is. Does he say, hello, funny man, I have come here and finded you. Don't make us come there. We will get mad like wounded snakes. And he would say, fuck thee, shut up, and stuff. Is that right? That's my worstest accent ever. I can't do a Russian accent, obviously. Yeah.
Do you use body wash, shampoo, and a lot everywhere? Are there some sketchy ingredients in most? Almost can't find a good one.
Yeah.
Any natural substitutes?
Currently, we are using Castile soap, I think it is, which is just a natural soap thing, and I put essential oil in it in a few drops to make it smell the way I want it to from time to time. And Pim uses it straight. I don't use shampoo at all because I don't have any hair. This is not my real hair, in case you couldn't tell. Comfy?
Mm-hmm.
Getting down there on the floor? Yeah, well, nearly on the floor. He's actually much taller than me. You wouldn't know it, though. He's taking a position of deference to the king of Pimbatia, you see. Aren't you?
I only eat meat slaughtered in halal way, so the blood gets out from the neck artery.
Okay, so you're a Muslim, are you? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
My brother-in-law is a Muslim. My sister's husband. Yeah.
Estrogen receptor blockers like calcium D glucarate likely contraindicated just based on messing with the body's ability to do stuff, or does it depend on genetics of the person?
Yes. Many inputs, many outputs. Your mileage will vary. Whether or not it's indicated or a good idea to mess around with your hormonal system at all is questionable. But in some cases, intervention can be useful, yes. Whether or not you should do that long term, though, is another question with an answer on another day.
Which is the real vitamin C, DHAA or ascorbic acid?
Well, by definition, ascorbic acid is vitamin C.
And it has to be the D or the L.
There are two, I guess, forms of it called the D molecule and the L molecule configuration. Same numbers of carbons, hydrogens, oxygens, etc., but just arranged slightly differently. Yeah. And one form is good for human absorption and one isn't. Right.
Is it absolutely necessary to fast while doing carnivore?
No, not at all, under any circumstances. Fasting is an additional optional thing that people can undertake whether they are carnivore or not. In the case where things that might be helped by fasting can be.
Have you an opinion on the
Pneumococcal. I'll help you. Pneumococcal. Yeah.
Valcine?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this would be a good idea for my 97-year-old mum who lives in a nursing home.
I wouldn't go anywhere near those sorts of things with a barge pole personally. That is my choice. That is my formulation on such things. I think the individual should be absolutely free to make their own choices and to speak freely about them. Fortunately, that's not how the world works yet. At this time. Still.
Okay. Can you overwhelm your gut with too much protein, and what symptoms would you prevail from doing that?
Yes, you can overdo anything. It is possible to overdo anything. I mean, too much water will kill you, for example. Too much oxygen will kill you. And certainly too much protein can be a problem. Likely you'll get gastric upset. Likely you'll loosen up. You'll get the shits, that is. You may well start to think of ammonia. Your energy could go off. Your general affect could go off in a number of different predictable and unpredictable ways. Thanks, Vince. Super chat action. We like that. Super chat action. There it is.
Olive, avocado, coconut, or MCT oils beneficial?
Case by case, moment by moment, person by person. Of those, the first two I wouldn't touch personally if possible, and the second two in relatively small amounts as a part of the intakes, but not the basis of the fat intake. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty then, as your sister would say. Alrighty then. All right.
Opinion. Yeah. Dr. Mike is just a celebrity doctor who is a vegan sympathizer.
Oh, I know who you mean then. I didn't know he was Russian. I didn't think he sounded Russian. He's an absolute waste of skin. Total fucking waste of oxygen. A moron of the highest order. A purveyor of disinformation, misinformation, misanthropy, and anti-humanism. A complete shit stain is Dr. Mike. Have I been clear?
Yeah.
Good. Are you sure? Any questions?
No.
That's what we normally get around here.
From me or from the viewers?
Both, actually, to be fair.
Question. Bart, can you play any Van Halen tunes? You look like Dad Lee wrote in his younger years.
You can tell this lad was born after 2000, can't you? He doesn't know who David Lee Roth is, which is not surprising, of course. No, I don't. I never got into Van Halen. I never tried to emulate Eddie Van Halen. It was almost unemulatable, I guess. I grew up on a steady diet of Guns N' Roses, Poison, Extreme, those kind of 80s and 90s rock genre type acts. And more latterly these days I'm into the indie rock and the hard rock and all of that. Yes.
Okay. Since I increased my fat intake, my urge for carbs came down. I don't crave carbs at all. Is that related with the Randall cycle?
Not necessarily. It's probably more related to your hunger and satiety signaling normalizing, as it should do when you do the right thing by your body, which is to feed it the way that it's expecting to be fed in terms of What is your genetic gift? What is your anthropological past? How are your organ systems arranged and lined up? What are they supposed to get their nutrition from? You feed it the right thing, and your body adjusts the amount of that you need appropriately. You mess with that by taking exogenous carbohydrates in, and that will screw that up. Basically, it'll cause you to overeat. Well, that's a strong statement, but it makes it much more likely, shall we say, that you will overeat if you pour carbohydrates down your stupid neck.
Could you please give your understanding of NU5GC and hypothesis of the sugar being acquired from dietary red meat and accumulation in cancer cells?
Right. Okay. So NEU5GC is a flag that is expressed on the membranes of various tissues of various animals. The theory is that consuming this particular flag causes an immune response or a cascade of some kind of that nature, leading to carcinogenesis, etc., etc. The problem is there's no experimental science whatsoever underpinning it. And if you look at the epidemiology, the prospective cohort studies, there is no meaningful difference in the rate of incidence of cancer diagnosis in populations who eat more red meat. Surprisingly, is the stuff that they're pointing NEU5GC and red meat. That you eat more red meat, you should get much more cancer if this was a problem, shouldn't you? It should be really obvious, in the way that when you smoke cigarettes, it's much more likely you'll get lung cancer. That's not even questionable, because the signal massively outweighs the noise. It's a clear, obvious association, huge association. That is not so with cancer and red meat. I think we're done. Good.
Any advice on how can I refrain myself from overusing fallacious?
There's no such thing as too much fallaciousness. I love the word fallacious. Let's say it together. Fallacious. Fallacious.
Eddie Goki likes that word.
He likes many words, does Eddie? He has lots of words bigger than wheelbarrow. In fact, I think Eddie knows more words than I do. I think that's one of the things about our short-term memory that suffers when we eat cake.
Okay. Is it okay to just eat eggs and brain? Because believe it or not, that's all I can afford in my area.
Yes, except that you may find yourself short on some of the more iron-based nutrients.
Magnesium.
And that too. Potentially. The basis of an appropriate human diet is the muscle meat of ruminant animals, mostly, like 80%, and then 20% other things. I get that from time to time financial constraints can lead people to do things they wouldn't do for choice. So I'm not judging, I'm just saying still the ideal is 80% muscle meat, red meat, if you possibly can.
Okay. I've noticed I break a lot of ventilation.
Farting. He's farting a lot.
Lately, especially late at night when I sleep, and it's annoying being under the duvet. Can I alter this by adjusting my time of eating?
Potentially, I would play around with it, but also you should have a think about what it is you're eating.
Yeah, I don't think I get any unless I eat cake or something.
I have a little game I play with the dogs. If they're sitting on the bed or whatever, or sitting under the covers wanting a nice little cuddle, you just rip one off, which I don't because I never fart anymore. But you can hold their head under the sheet. Hold him till he's fucking beat. Make your dog sniff your farts. It's a great game. Yeah. Or you can do the same thing with girlfriends. They love it, boys. You're welcome. Join me for more tips on how to woo a woman next week.
They already lost their hearing, now they're going to lose their sense of smell.
Yeah. They're obviously blind if they're my girlfriend in the first place, aren't they? No, you're very handsome, Professor, was the correct answer.
Oh.
Goodness gracious.
No,
It's hard to
yeah,
get good
it's
help,
not
isn't
good
it?
for sure. Cheers from sunny South Florida.
Thank you. Appreciate the $9.99.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But actually, sports and Alice Cooper look to me.
Yeah, Alice Cooper was on the list of things I grew up on as well. Yeah. Poison was classic, obviously. Trash was a great album. Love that. Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of the guy who oozed cholesterol from his hands by eating 9 pounds of meat and cheese?
Yep. I would suggest don't do that. That's not a natural diet for a human being, is it?
That much. Since you know who Dr. Mike is now, would you still be willing to do an interview with him if he calls you, maybe for the purpose of increasing your popularity and views in your channel?
If he wants to have a discussion with me, yeah, fine. I would entertain the idea.
Mm-hmm. Heard the new Dream Theater album?
I have not. John Petrucci is a great guitar player too. I just thought I'd add that.
Is there any scenario in which you would favor keto over carnivore,
Nope.
e.g., if primary goals is optimal brain?
No. Simple, no. Carnivore is the ideal diet for a human being, all things being equal.
Do you believe we will land humans on Mars and Moon for the first time in the next decade?
I'd hope so.
Weren't we listening on the radio the other day where Katy Perry was...
No, she was talking about going to space, but not to Mars.
Not to Mars,
No.
though.
Yeah.
Okay. Question. Do you have any spiritual beliefs, inclinations?
I have many inclinations, spiritual and otherwise, helpful and otherwise. I'm fairly agnostic on the basis that I guess if I have a theology, it's the theology in the belief in science and the scientific method with an understanding of the limits of its capacity to inform. Many things are out with science and cannot be explained by science. As such, all eventualities remain on the table, I think. Jesus Christ, Dave, you are late. Stay behind. Report later to His Majesty Field Marshal Ted, who will administer the appropriate administrative correction, Master Chief, for your tardiness this morning. Are you in uniform at least? If not, well, I'm afraid Ted may well release the rampant wildebeest.
The frogs, the soggy frogs.
Well, that's only for minor incursions. When you've been really bad, we release the rampant wildebeest. Same wetsuit with the same bottom cut out will be dress for the exercise, but it's a more serious infraction being this late, isn't it, Dave? Hope you're doing well, Dave. Hope Janet's doing well. Hope everything's good. Let me know if there's anything I can do in the background. I'm sure there's not, but, you know, obviously you've got to ask. Well, no, you don't. I'm just pretending to be human. I'm not really pretending. I'm actually a real person in the real world. Oh, no, Dave. Dave knows. You know. Don't you, Private Ryan?
I thought you were a lizard person.
We're still trying to lure more victims here. Don't tell them. What you need to realize about Pimara is it's just like the Hotel California. These guys think they're leaving. It's funny as fuck. Right.
Have you looked into McCullough spike detox protocol? Do you support it in any other method?
If we're talking about bromelain and nattokinase, yes, I have. If we're not, then I haven't. That seems to be quite effective, as far as I can tell.
Is the Randall cycle the main issue in fuel selection, or is the real problem an overabundance of energy leading to the simultaneous presence of both fats and sugar in circulation?
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. All of those things are inherently things connected to and part of the thing that we loosely describe using the umbrella term, the Randall cycle, purely because of the bloke who first proposed the main working components of it quite correctly. In about 1963, I think it was published. It was called the glycerol fatty acid cycle by Randall. It was only later that people said, no, we should call it the Randall cycle. Oh, all right then. It's not even a cycle. Both of those are correct interpretations of what goes on simultaneously.
I think that's the last of the questions.
Goodness gracious. Well, if that's the last of the questions and there are no more questions coming forth, we might be just about... yeah. Yeah. We might be just about done. Yes. Well, Claire, if you just got here, you can stay behind with Master Chief Burgess and report to Ted. You too will have a visit from the rampant wild beast. So you will.
Question?
Yes, good.
Oh.
Day of execution.
You go away, you go away, you are gone. What?
You go away, you are away, you are gone. Good. Thank you. Is that a question?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How many stem enhanced capsules do you take per day?
Yeah.
How's your eye health doing?
My eye health is doing really well. I just had my eyes tested for a routine prescription lens update recently. The prescription in my left eye continues to get less over time, which is pretty unheard of. So that's impressive. The signs of my former advanced wet macular degeneration are now a thing of the past. The imagery that was taken this time around revealed very early stage dry macular degeneration. In other words, the tissue has regenerated in the last 15 years, despite being told that would not happen, that is impossible, and that I would be blind about 10 years ago. I'm not. I can see good. I take between 4 and 6 to 8 capsules a day, depending on how I'm feeling personally. We have a mantra though. It says, well, the labeled dosage, if you like, is maintenance for someone otherwise fit and healthy and young, like the Privates Ryan and their privates. And if you have moderate health concerns, you might double that. And if you have serious health concerns, you might double it again. And if you're really, really messed up, you can go as high as 16 for further effect, beyond which it's not that it's unsafe or toxic, it's just that it stops producing any further reaction after about 16. Obviously, if you were paying for those, that would be quite a cost, though, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. Tim's not here. We can sing. This is true. Very true.
What do you think about Mike Menzer?
Hit and miss for me. Some stuff is good. Other things that come out of his corner, I'm not too impressed with, personally.
Why don't our teeth fit in our mouth anymore?
Because since we took up an agrarian lifestyle and stopped eating and chewing on meat quite so much, our dental arch has shrunk. The size of our jaws and facial bones and musculature and all of that have all changed, but the size of our teeth hasn't adapted genetically to suit the changed architecture of our mouth and jaw lines. Such, that's why we have teeth cramping and them being all out of line and stuff, because they're trying to all fight for too much, fight for not enough space.
Can we Bimbardia Q&A around the campfire?
Yes, you can sit around a campfire if you like. We're sitting around this background in front of this desk right now. That's the way we do live streams here. That's how we roll.
Sorry, I sent a question and forgot to put the queue. Should we answer it?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay.
Because Claire's a friend, so.
I somehow got Campylobacter.
Ooh, nasty.
Very severe and have to take antibiotics.
Yeah.
I'm taking probiotics, allegedly good for restoring gut. Do they really help?
There's no evidence that they do. And actually, Claire, every single thing you put in your mouth and swallow is a probiotic. It's a buzz term. because everything comes with its own flora, doesn't it, when you swallow it? Everything.
How was your education system and which college you went to when you were a young man?
I went in my undergraduate studies to a technical institute, actually, for my first undergraduate degree. And that was the Waikato Institute of Technology in New Zealand. I wasn't young, really. Well, I was middle of my current age, sort of back then. I was like 20, in my mid-20s when I started my first degree. How was my education system? Pretty typical, really, for the time. Nothing to write home about. And much of what they taught me was nonsense. Both in my undergraduate and in my postgraduate work, in fact. It's only when you become an independent researcher in your own right that you start finding out just how bad the information they taught you was in terms of its accuracy.
Not a question, but you're one of life's good guys. Keep on going.
Rock on. Thank you. I will. Maybe.
Keep on keeping on, I mean.
I will, as best as I can.
Question. How does an echocardiogram tell me about the health of my heart, atherosclerosis?
Yeah.
I'm 25 with high lipids and my doctor wanted to get an echo to check health of my heart and it as perfect.
Yes. No surprises. Yep. Okay. High lipids is a buzz term.
Perfect.
It's a medical term that doctors impose to try and scare people into taking drugs they don't need to intervene in their lipid profile, which they don't need to do. There's no such thing as high lipids unless you're just talking about with respect to the average on a general population. It's of no meaning and no prognostic value or utility to you. The echo to check your heart health, well, fine, whatever. It's a sound-based technique where they scan the tissues of your heart to see if there are any really obvious abnormalities in formation or function. It's making an image using sound waves, bouncing them through the body and getting reflections back and forming an image from that, basically.
Can we massage each other in Pimara?
God, yes. God, yes. I'm all about the contact and the forming of relationships through contact. Isn't that right, Private Ryan?
Yeah, we haven't done it.
Of course not.
Weston Price did a lot of research on human dental health. Can his info easily online?
That's a statement. Yes, it's true. Yes, you can find information about the Weston A. Price Foundation and Weston A. Price's ideas and research and stuff that he did online. Yes, you can.
Is Ryan in college?
Ryan can answer for himself.
Yeah. Doing IT.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I apply to live at Pimara?
You need to send an email to the email address which is currently wending its way across the bottom of the screen in the ticker tape. And you need to let us know that you are a potential Pimbatian for a period of time. And then Ted will interview you. How did you get past Ted, by the way? How did you convince him that you were an acceptable applicant?
I did farm work before. Yeah.
What else?
Wood cutting and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else got you past Ted so that we decided you could come?
Oh, my diet.
Sure, that helped, maybe. Because you probably need to be a carnivore to do well at Pimbatia, unless you like fruit. But also your sister was coming, so it made sense that you came too. Yeah.
Where or how to find that oxidized LDL is just 10% of atherosclerosis?
Do a search on your favorite engine of your choice that does academic publications, and you'll find at least one or two papers floating around that talk about the histology of atherosclerosis. And in fact, 10% is too high for most lesions, way too high. Most atherosclerotic lesions are like 1/10 of 1%, not 10%.
I would like to bunk with that.
That means you're sleeping with me too.
But
No, not really, I don't sleep with Ted. Ted sleeps on the desk, as you rightly say, Private Ryan, of course. Stop lying, Professor. Goodness gracious. Every word a lie.
Question.
Yep.
Why a few years ago it was pretty well known that ancient humans were hunter-gatherers, mostly hunters. But nowadays, when you Google what people ate, first results usually are veggies.
Because that's political ideology. That's the accepted narrative now, even though it's a falsehood. That's what's being pushed.
What is the minimum duration for Pimara state?
Well, it depends on how far you are traveling to get here as to what makes it worthwhile for you. We are kind of open-ended in terms of how long people stay with us, so long as they are of some value. After which they can still be of value if we have to eat them. Can't they, Private Ryan? He thinks we're joking. It's funny.
I was told in biochem class that our body burns fat for energy when we are passive.
Yes.
But that's false, right? If you eat glucose, your body hardly ever burns fat.
Correct, you are correct, yes. If you look at the RER or RQ quotient in the expired gas of a person at rest who eats a lot of carbohydrates, you'll find it's getting up towards 0.8, 0.85, sometimes 0.9, and even up to 1.0 in such a person at complete rest. Yes, you are correct.
Perhaps Cyril should look into adding low-dose lithium to the flagship product if lithium does actually affect stem cell release.
I'm sure that the research folks are looking into all aspects of things and such like that in terms of our formulations.
How can that explanation about our teeth not fitting make sense when other parts of our body is not underdeveloped?
Well, it does. It makes perfect sense. If you move from having massive jaws with powerful musculature and big bone structures and nice big teeth in order to chew on lots and lots of meat, and then you suddenly start adding a lot of plant material.
I guess posture is another example.
Yeah, posture is another example. And bone density and muscularity and actually height as well. People went down. Brain capacity went down when we added plants. Human brains got smaller. The active genetic drift and the things that change in the bodies of a given species is one of those ineffable things, a bit as to what's going to cause what. Yes.
How have you got any plans to do another video with Jack Cruz?
Have I got any plans to do another video with Jack Cruz? No. I would, if he wants to. I haven't heard from Jack in a long time. Love you, Jack. Nothing you can do about it.
Have you seen Lost TV show?
I did watch some of it, and it was just too weird for me. I went, nah, this is dumb.
Is that island or?
Yeah. Wasn't my kind of thing.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
Is that it?
That can be it. We've been going a goodly period of time, haven't we? Nearly 2 hours for a 1 hour session, or a 1.5 hour session. That's pretty good. Yeah. Who's got female hips? I haven't. You don't.
I think it's addition to this question.
Right. Good. Right.
Sleeping on the floor lowers your risk of hip damage on falls.
You mean incidents?
Yeah, incidents.
Yes, not risk. Good. I'm glad you corrected yourself on that. Well done.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, that being the case, really, there are several things left that we could do. For example, we could do a little song like this. Not here. Tim's not here. We can sing as much as we want to, as much as we want to, because you see, she's not here to say no singing. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Right, enough silliness. The other thing that we could do is sing the national anthem of Pimara to close us off, couldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the words?
Steak and eggs.
Well, hang on a minute. Let's do it like this.
Oh.
I'll count you in. 2, 3, 4. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Very good, Private Ryan. Very good. If you get your sister on here to do the singing now. Yeah. All right, ciao.
Okay.
Yes, end.